Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
For a limited time at McDonald's, get a Big Mac extra value meal for $8. That means 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, and medium fries, and a drink. We may need to change that jingle.
Prices and participation may vary.
This podcast is supported by FX's English Teacher. Last year's critically acclaimed series returns to follow Evan, Gwen, and Marky as they vie for their students' divided attention. See why Cosmopolitan called its premiere season a masterclass of comedy, while Glamour raved it's the year's funniest and most heartwarming new comedy series. FX's English Teacher, all new Thursdays on FX. All episodes now streaming on Hulu.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by The Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the Dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for the stay.
Tom, if you had to make a dish associated with the TV show, which would it be?
I would love to eat the pizza from Breaking Bad. He kind of throws in a huff. He throws a giant pizza pie on the roof of his house, like a pepperoni. And that, in terms of scenes from a TV show that stand out in my head, that one reigns supreme.
I'm going to go with The Wire. Lake trout. No lake, no trout. A fried fish sandwich, Baltimore style. You put a little hot sauce on that. The lake trout. That is a Baltimore classic. This is Pack Your Knives. I'm Kevin Arnovitz.
And I'm Tom Haberstroh.
Tom, we're down to 7 chefs. Episode 10, season 6. Great rewatch. A lot going on. We as the aforementioned TV show, TV Dinner Challenge was sort of interesting. And then we have a fun elimination as the chefs take over Tom Colicchio's restaurant, which is a kind of a big deal. But first,
hello, Natalie Portman too.
Oh,
yes.
I am bearing the lead. Natalie Portman is a crucial player in this episode. Let's start with TV Dinner, or if you have general impressions about the state of the show right now, I am all ears.
Yeah, so when you look at this episode, Mike Isabella, of course, big story there in the aftermath of this TV show. But for me, this episode was all about Jen because she's been in a rut. And watching her totally struggle in this episode while seeing Robin also struggle, but almost in like a carefree way. But Jen just seems so in her head, and she's shaking as she's plating her dish. And, Natalie Portman is so wonderful. Lots of dick jokes happening in this episode. So in terms of like my favorite episodes of this season, I would say episode 10 here with Natalie Portman. It's up there.
It's interesting how often Jen is a protagonist. One of the interesting things that I think happens, and it happens on a lot of episodes, or rather a lot of seasons, although I think less than it used to, is the desire of the producers to really zero in on a couple of main characters. And whether that's a function of their personality, which it generally is, their potential as a chef, their arc, so like chefs that start without confidence and build confidence become over time, I think, a character they'll zero in on just because it has a natural arc. And it's Jen's season in many ways, along with the Voltagios, just because of the novelty of brothers. But this episode sort of solidified that. I mean, she is, there's best actors and then there's the supporting actors, which are eligible in which category. She's a best actor / actress. For sure.
And, I felt for her on this episode in many ways. We'll start with the TV dinner. The challenge was sponsored by TV Guide, I guess. Is that right?
Oh, it wasn't Swanson's? I forget.
I don't know.
No, I think it was TV Guide. I didn't know TV Guide was still around. Indispensable publication before your time, by the way.
Oh, no. I definitely remember every time we went to Caldor or CVS, we would always grab a TV Guide on the way out.
Black for network, little gray for UHF stations. It was a very well-designed magazine. Like the content of it for its age was it was kind of pleasant to look at in addition to getting your TV because you had no guides. You just had to crack open the TV Guide to figure out what the hell's on, which is just hilarious that I am of age enough to remember. Get the TV Guide. Where the hell is the TV Guide? Oh, great. We don't know what's on. Now we have to have a flip. And that's how you did it. And
it was an important publication. Whoever got on the cover of the TV Guide, that was like being on the cover of, Time magazine.
Every house had TV Guide. Not every house, but I rarely knew a house that did not have TV Guide. It is the guide. I mean, it was how it's so indispensable.
So did you eat TV dinners?
We were kosher much of my childhood, but early on we weren't. And a little Salisbury steak, absolutely. I was kind of a one-horse pony. I mean, one trick pony there because I didn't really veer off. The chicken dinner with the breading sticking to that tinfoil, which actually oddly created this sort of extra gunk of oil. So definitely had the fried chicken with the little corn. That was a popular one. But I don't remember any above that. And then we went kosher and in the new kitchen or whatever, and that ceased to be a thing.
Yeah, my mom, she always said only 30 minutes of TV a day. And so I would always watch Wild and Crazy Kids or any Nickelodeon show. And then, of course, my dad would throw on the Red Sox game. But we would never eat on the couch with a TV dinner. So I know the concept of a TV dinner. And I distinctly remember a few times eating a TV dinner where you kind of pull the plastic cover off of it and then the steam pops out. And so this sort of concept for the quick fire, it definitely harkened back to some of the moments in my childhood. But I wouldn't say I was a veteran of TV dinners.
Oh, we had no TV limit in my house. And there was much syndication going on between 4 and 6 when I didn't have a activity or something. And Atlanta was a great market to grow up in because you got the Jeffersons at 4 and 5. Little Good Times at 4:30, which then was replaced on the CBS affiliate with Alice, a big popular one in my house. And then as early 80s go into mid 80s, it becomes a Family Ties rerun house, along with Silver Spoons, by the way. Big Ricky Schroeder, that was a 4:30, I think on the NBC affiliate, maybe. But, there was no limit in our house. Stacey and I watched just a shit ton of television. We're both I think we've both seen every Jeffersons episode ever produced. Probably right there with Alice. But yeah, there was no limit. We soaked that shit up.
Which of these, they gave out Gilligan's Island, MASH, Sopranos, Flintstones, Sesame Street, Seinfeld, Cheers. Am I missing one? Is there one that you watched more so than any of those other shows that you would have been excited to get?
I mean, you can go Italian with Sopranos, and it's a really easy interpretation. Cheers is good for a quick fire because, again, beer food, right? Bar food. Flintstones is hard to. It's like you got to kind of do the brontosaurus rib. Like, I don't know any other. And then Seinfeld diner food with Tom's, or you can go a little New York deli, make a knish. I don't know if you can make a knish in 30. Yeah. Like Gilligan's, you can do anything fishy. So, but I think the key is, to me, Sopranos gives you a pretty wide berth, whereas Flintstone gives you a pretty narrow berth.
Yeah, and it's pretty clear that Kevin didn't really watch The Sopranos because he was just like, doing the whole family spread thing. I felt bad for Jen here because when you get Flintstones, you want to get the big old hunk of meat on the end of a bone, right? A big old ribeye or a tomahawk, or she
turkey leg or something.
Yeah,
one of those State Fair turkey legs.
Yeah, and she goes into the pantry. And they don't stock anything with a big old bone on it. So I felt bad for her on that because if you're Top Chef, you want to stock, you don't want to give them a challenge and then not have any of the ingredients on purpose unless it's part of the conceit of the challenge. So right off the bat, Jen is just working from, behind on the scoreboard.
Well, also, roulade is this year's risotto. Right? Like that's sort of, you don't want anything to do with that. Who was it that got Robin almost got sent home for her roulade, or did she get? No, that was the Ash tenderloin episode, and Robin almost skated, by the hair of her chinny chin chin with her roulade. So roulade is just a kind of a loser. You don't want to do roulade.
Kiss of death.
Don't do it. Don't do it. And
so, I don't know who this judge is, Paul Bartolotti. Do you know anything about this chef? I guess
never heard of him.
Get him out of here. I liked him. I thought he was a pretty good host. He was fun. And Brian goes with the Korean meatloaf. And what I found fascinating about this one, a play off of MASH during the Korean War. What I found fascinating about this, Kevin. If you'd known nothing about Brian Voltaggio after this and the whole quickfire curse, I would have thought he won. Like this dish, I thought he was going to finally win the quickfire. And I was so excited for him. But then I got this moment of Tom, we know he never wins the damn quickfire. So why are you getting your hopes up?
Yeah, they like that tart tatin. The meatloaf was a winner. By the way, I was how old is Voltaggio / Brian or Brian? Because MASH, that was another rerun special. That was a total syndication hit.
My parents love MASH.
Yeah, my dad loved MASH. Everybody loved MASH. My house Monday night was sacrosanct. You could not bug my father. You couldn't bug my father during MASH on Monday nights, and then you couldn't bug my father Hill Street Blues on Tuesday night. And that was just his thing. He asked for 90 minutes a week of peace, and that was it. You couldn't come into the bedroom where you like to watch TV. At 10 o'clock on Tuesdays, and I think 9 was MASH on Mondays.
So Brian knowing about MASH is pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When was Brian? How old is Brian Voltaggio? I
would say he's 45.
One of those guys, 44. Okay, so he's old enough to have caught MASH in syndication.
Okay.
But looking good for 44, by the way. Based on not this season, obviously 17. There he was 32.
Yeah, so he's he comes in second. He was in the top. Kev wins with his family spread. They really liked his dish. I don't really have much of an opinion on the other ones. Mike Isabella did sausage and peppers with Seinfeld. He's never watched Seinfeld before. I'm not a Seinfeld fanatic like some of our friends and colleagues, Kevin, but I would at least know a couple things to pull from that, that show to be inspired from. But Mike does not. He doesn't finish in the bottom. Jen and Robin finish in the bottom, and Michael Voltaggio brings in the chicken parm, which I know he's going for bar food or pub food, Kevin, but chicken parm doesn't really feel like bar food to me. Like a fish and chips or a burger or a French onion soup, chicken
What about
wings,
those mozzarella sticks dipped in tomato sauce, which is kind of your 2/3 of the way to parm?
Yeah, no, I'm with that. But a chicken parm, I feel like that's a deli. I don't feel like that's a bar.
It's more like an Italian. Yeah, like an Italian sub. I think if you're going Seinfeld, my favorite food-oriented Seinfeld, and like you, I'm not encyclopedic in my knowledge of Seinfeld. It was on while I was in college, so I just didn't have a TV. But I like the one where Costanza's like he sees the uneaten eclair in the trash can, right? Purely uneaten, not even mingling with the other trash, and just feels like it's completely acceptable to reach in there and get the eclair.
I mean, that would have been a great dish. Is something inspired by that moment on the show?
Can you do an eclair in 30 minutes or an hour? I think it's an hour. Like that. That's
right.
The question. Or because I think the eclair. Although then you're up there, and I'm gonna guess that Padma is not encyclopedic in her Seinfeld knowledge, because that's the only problem. Is for Seinfeldians, it will be brilliant, but if you're trying to describe the George Costanza's eclair episode, I think you're probably, if you're explaining, you're losing, as they say.
Yeah, if you have to kind of explain the punchline, you already lost the audience, right? But I do think that sometimes on Top Chef, when there's a personal anecdote or a very vivid, very specific memory that you draw inspiration from, I think the judges appreciate that. And on this one,
that's not very personal. That's that would be like, I hadn't seen my mom in 14 years and she really loves eclairs. And there it was. That would have to be the term of that. I don't think they're going to go just because you like an erotic episode of Seinfeld, which is truly one of my favorites, because that is so something I would do, Tom. Like to watch a perfectly good eclair just get thrown away. I got to tell you, I've certainly had the urge when I go to Sugarfish or sushi and people leave untouched pieces. And I'm walking by and they're getting up and leaving. It's practically speaking, there's no utility to throwing that shit out. And it's not like it's a half-eaten steak.
Did you ever work as a server?
Yeah, I did in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Did you ever eat anything off a plate that was you cleared from the dining room and then go back into the kitchen? I certainly did that a whole bunch.
Okay, I'm maybe a rogue French fry, maybe. I don't recall. Did you?
Yes. Oh, yeah. There was this place called Bravo in Fairfield, Connecticut, and I would there was this amazing dish of calamari with some hoisin sauce or something like that. And
calamari and hoisin sauce.
Oh, yeah.
Not
it's fried calamari, right?
Yeah, okay.
And they would sprinkle this hoisin sauce on top, and then it would go out. And 99% out of all of the dishes that went out, they would just get gobbled up. There's not even a speck of fried crust from the calamari. But on those rare occasions where you find the golden ticket, where there's a few left over of the calamari, and I'm a much bigger fan of the tentacle calamari rather than the discs of the calamari. I don't know how you feel about that, the rings of the calamari.
Oh, you're ring versus tentacles?
Yeah, I'm very much team tentacle. And so when those were left, a few left over on the dish, I would just pop them in my mouth like they were just Tic Tacs, So I'm a big fan of that move. I don't know how we got off on that, but
bar food.
This is what this show is all about. So, elimination challenge, Kevin. What'd you think about it?
Well, I think, look, vegetarianism always, either it's interesting or it's not. In one respect, you don't get to see them, work their strengths. And so that was sort of I missed the protein in a challenge, right? On the other hand, Natalie Portman's charming. It is interesting to see there's a certain adaptation a challenge like that requires, and I think it's important. It's an important skill for a Top Chef contestant, so you want to push them every third or fourth episode to really adapt, and I think this was one of those. So, generally speaking, I'm okay.
Yeah. I hear you. I feel like when they announced that they're just going to go take over Tom's restaurant, Craft Steak in Vegas, it's there's got to be something more to this, because this doesn't seem like at this late in the game that there was enough there. And then, of course, Natalie Portman is brought in as the surprise.
Right. Well, by the way, in the words of Tom Colicchio, what's the challenge?
Yes. If you haven't listened, that is a reference to our sit down with Tom Colicchio full episode. You can go listen to on our Twitter feed, our YouTube at Count the Dings, or just scroll back from the Pack Your Knives feed. We did a whole sit down with Colicchio. And that was one of the things we pitched. And he said, what's the challenge? What's the challenge? So on this one, the challenge is plot twist, going to a steakhouse, not allowed to cook meat. And once again, Jen on this episode gets screwed. She wants to do eggplant, and she can't do the eggplant that she wants because Eli also wanted to do eggplant. But even before that, she wanted to do morels, mushroom morels, and two others were doing morels. And if I'm Jen and Kevin's going to do morels and Robin's doing morels, guess what? I don't care if they've done it. I'm going to do it better than them. Maybe it's a matter of scarcity that they're going to take it and I just don't have any morels left, or I'm going to get the runt of the litter of the morels. But if I'm Jen, I'm just going to do the morels because I know that's my first pick, right?
Yeah. So a big surprise for me, at least, in this elimination challenge is nobody does pasta or risotto. Now, I know risotto, obviously, I don't know if it had its reputation yet in season 6, but pasta, like, it's such an easy way to do vegetarian food that is savory, tasty. You know, a constant theme of the judges was, oh, this is a real dish. You can make a meal out of it. And I'm just shocked that you had 7 chefs and not one chooses pasta. I'm not criticizing. I mean, the ones that hit, but I just think that for those who were struggling, it would have been, and again, not everybody makes pasta. It is something, but I was shocked.
You know, it didn't occur to me, Kevin. Like I did not think about doing pasta in that place, but it makes all the sense in the world. The showrunners might have said you can't do pasta because none of them did it.
Right, and they didn't go to the Whole Foods, right? This was a what's in the pantry. So there might now, but you can with flour. I mean, the people who make pasta, we're talking about flour, we're talking about egg, you know. But I mean, it's just I was very surprised, and especially Jen in this. She is the sauce master. I mean, you do a ravioli of butternut squash, or even that eggplant. If you really like there are things you maybe not eggplant, but there are a lot of things you can do, obviously, with veggie pastas. I mean, and a great sauce, and you're done.
How about Eli, who's never one to mince words or anything like that? He just goes, yeah, in the confidence of like-minded people, I would say that vegetarians are lower people.
that was like, a very 26-year-old chef to say. But I appreciate his candor, and that's all you asked for. So
yeah. Is there a dish, Kevin, vegetarian dish that instantly pops into your mind when if someone says, "Ooh, we're having a veggie meal tonight"? Is there something that you're like, I hope it's this? I guess it's pasta for you.
No. I mean, I have to be careful in the pasta, just carbs. But I'll tell you one of the things I like, and we were just talking about it, is like a really good eggplant parmesan. Guilty pleasure veggie food. Like, I just love eggplant. What's interesting here is there is a great vegan Japanese restaurant down in Little Tokyo called Shojin, and if all vegan food was this tasty, I would be vegan. It is so good, but I love a good eggplant parmesan. I'll take a meat and 3 without the meat. I love those southern vegetables. But yeah, that's basically it.
Hello, listener. It's Producer Maze here to talk to you about Quince and their cookware. Cooler nights mean cozy meals at home, and Quince's cookware has made fall cooking so much more enjoyable. Their pieces deliver the quality and performance of luxury brands, but at a price that makes sense. And they look gorgeous on the stovetop, too. No matter what item you need to complete your kitchen, Quince has you covered. With 5-ply stainless steel pots and pans, nonstick skillets, chef-quality knives, and even ceramic bakeware, which is perfect for cozy casseroles or Sunday roasts. And when you look at these prices, you might think, how is Quince doing this? How do they deliver high-quality items similar to high-end brands that are half the price? Well, let me tell you, they partner directly with ethical top-tier factories to cut out the middlemen and pass the savings on to you. And it's not just cookware. I got myself some bath sheets. That's right. When you're a tall man, you have to use bath sheets, not bath towels from Quince. It's like drying off with the cloud. It's incredible. Upgrade your kitchen for cozy fall meals with premium cookware from Quince. Go to quince.com/dings for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/dings, DINGS, to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dings. Hello, listener. It's producer Maze here to talk to you about Kindred. Now, close your eyes like Owen Wilson during a job interview and imagine a way to travel that feels personal, comfortable, and connected without the price tags and the sterile feelings of hotels or short-term rentals. Now open your eyes and stop using your imagination because Kindred has made it very real. That's exactly what they do. Kindred is a members-only home swapping network. It's not a hotel. It's not a short-term rental. It's a smarter way to travel where each stay feels like home. Here's how it works. With Kindred, your home is your ticket. You earn credits by hosting fellow Kindred members, and then you use those credits to stay in over 220,000 homes in more than 100 cities worldwide. There are no hotel costs or rental fees, just the credits that you've earned. Every stay comes with white glove service, 24/7 trip support, and $100,000 in host protection. Make it easier for you to travel and enjoy yourself and not worry about details. I've used Kindred and I found an amazing home for a weekend getaway in an idyllic location with amazing views and great ambiance. It had everything I needed. And the best part was, it cost me $0. So apply now at livekindred.com and use code DINGS to join for free. Plus, you'll earn 5 nights of travel credit just for signing up. That's right, that's 5 whole nights for free at livekindred, KINDRED.com, code DINGS, DINGS, livekindred.com, code DINGS.
Listener, listen up. This is important, okay? I'm going to try to save you some money here. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. You may think like, oh, that's bad. No contracts. No monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. Here's why I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for $15 a month. You heard that correctly. $15 per month. Ditch overpriced wireless and the jaw-dropping monthly bills. And of course, there are all these hidden fees and stuff, but at Mint Mobile, plans start at $15 per month. All the plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text. You're not doing like weekend and nighttime minutes or anything like that. And it's delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone. Don't have to get a new phone. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all of your existing contacts. I switched months ago. People have asked, did you actually switch? Yes, I actually switched months ago, and I don't know what to do with all this extra money. I've cheated the system here. I've rigged something. This is an Ocean's 11 situation where I'm stealing wireless from Mint. That's how good a deal it is. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/dings. That's DINGS. That's mintmobile.com/dings. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 per month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
This episode is brought to you by 20th Century Studios' new film, Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. Starring Golden Globe winner Jeremy Allen White and Academy Award nominee Jeremy Strong. Scott Cooper, the director of the Academy Award-winning movie Crazy Heart, brings you the story of the most pivotal chapter in the life of an icon. Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. Only in theaters October 24th. Get your tickets now.
I'm always looking for ways to show my cat how much I love her. And with Fancy Feast Gems, I can pamper her whenever I want with a savory gravy on top of a gourmet mousse pâté. The pyramid shape makes serving simple, so all I have to do is peel and plate to make mealtime feel extra fancy. And with 2 entrees in every pack, it's easy to turn every day into the extraordinary. Fancy Feast Gems.
Yeah, I let's just start with Mike Isabella here. Leeks. I don't know if I could pick Leeks out of a lineup. Like if I was eating a bunch of dishes, veggies, I don't think I could pick Leeks out. That's probably just me being a novice eater maybe. But that that choice by Mike Isabella was very, very confusing.
Well, also because leeks, like, they're kind of filler. I mean, look, I'm sure some chef would say you haven't had my leeks, but so they look like, almost when you see them at the farmer's market, kind of like green onions, but a much bigger white kind of. It doesn't, like, okay. So that's kind of what they look like. And they're just kind of filler. Like, that is not a meal. I'm just trying to think, like, roasted leeks. And again, maybe I'm wrong, but it's just kind of in the root vegetable, like turnips. Yeah, turnips are fine. I have a turnip recipe that I make with a little citrus and stuff, but like, it's turnips. And that's how I feel about leeks. Event. Yeah, it's just not. I was shocked at the beginning because it seems like trouble. Like, the ceiling on a leek dish is so low.
Yeah, and he thought he was gonna cut it into discs, almost like a scallop, and he ended up just kind of boiling the shit out of it, and it looked awful. It looked like even the overhead shot, Kevin, of the overhead shot of the pot that he cooked it in, I was just like, who wants to eat that? And then he presented it on the plate, and it was not happening. And right away, when he decided he was going to go with leeks, I was like, this is not going to end well. He has all the confidence in the world, but he does the leeks, and I didn't really think that was a smart move. And of course, Robin decides she's going to do a billion things. I honestly, in my notes, I just have it written down. Lots of things happening. Don't even know what this dish is.
She just doesn't have a perspective. You can go up and down the list of chefs and they all have a perspective, right? Michael Voltaggio wants to reinvent. He wants to deconstruct and reconstruct. He is fascinated with what you can do with substances. Brian Voltaggio, likes to play with texture, probably a more mild version of Michael, but that restraint and structure certainly, gives him something. Jen, we talked about just fresh, simple ingredients, kind of an East Coast Suzanne going, great with sauces, classical. And you can go down and like Robin, it's sort of like I don't know what is the point of view, like what is the arterial voice there? Like I don't know.
Just talking. That's it. Like I don't know. I don't know what hers is, and she says I don't know whether she is vegetarian or that she eats a lot of vegetables, like that's her diet. But this just seemed like she had an idea of what ingredients she wanted to use, and then there's some fresh garbanzos. There's this and then there's that. I'm going to use it all, and then she just throws it all in. And like fresh garbanzos, that sounds really good. Like again, haven't had that. Sounds really good. And yet there was like a bunch of different things on the plate. So
do a duo of beets with the chermoula. I mean, that's a decent dish if you execute the beets are substantial. Do them two ways. I know you're not supposed to do it, but I think when the vegetable, it's a different story, and you want to get something like I just like you could have done that. You could have done that. You could have done just a good beet dish with a really good, chermoula, and maybe some herbal, something, a component that sort of works with the North African motif. Right. I mean, I don't know. Right. Just like what the hell? Yeah. I mean, fresh garbanzo beans. Just because they're there and you're interested and you're curious doesn't mean you use them.
Mike Voltaggio, once again, does a dish that's so Michael Voltaggio, very confident in his abilities, the concept, the banana polenta that almost put, half the judges into shock. Then you had the asparagus done a couple ways. Conceptually, execution, I mean, he's a juggernaut. This dish definitely, when we have the debates about Giannis versus LeBron and who's going to be the MVP of the NBA, and we just say, LeBron has in normal years, it's an MVP caliber season. This dish by Michael Voltaggio was LeBron, where it was like, you know what? MVP caliber dish, winning dish for Michael Voltaggio. And I feel him is that, when he presented the dish, I kind of felt like if this tastes good as it looks, it has a cool story with the bananas and the polenta. I thought he would run away with this. And then, Kevin comes in with a dish that me personally, I would most like to eat.
Yeah, I mean, I love mushrooms. Mushrooms are some of my favorite things in the world. Am I right that Mike, Voltaggio threw a little shade at Kevin there, right?
Oh, for sure.
I mean, I was surprised. I thought there would be at least mutual respect. Presentationally, Kevin's dish wasn't that. It was much more of a down-home dish. But, I think there's an appreciation, especially, with vegetarian. There is, I think substance is something, and sustenance really is something you want because they can be overly light, like you want them. And look, it works. And he won, by the way. And he got a twofer. He won. He swept the episode.
Yeah, it's very rare that we have it this season where you sweep the episode. I'm not sure we've seen that. But it's hard to do, especially with this kind of talent on the board. And I feel bad for Michael Voltaggio on some level that, maybe his dish from a talent perspective, from a conceptual perspective, was actually more impressive than Kevin's was. But you know what? Kevin's just tasted fucking good. And at the end of the day, you got to hit flavor, and it seemed like everyone on the table just loved eating that dish, and that's what it's all about. So Voltaggio, I get it, but when you're having a vegetarian meal, I'm not looking at like, ooh, I want asparagus. Like, that's not the move. I'm going to want a mushroom, whether it's a portobello steak or something like that. I love eating mushrooms, and so I thought it was really smart by Kevin to just go get the morels, get the hen of the woods, and just go with a very heavy, substantial mushroom dish that felt like, you're eating a real protein. And yeah.
You know what dish I would have ordered on a menu?
Which one?
Eli's. That looks delicious. Eggplant confit. I mean, really, when eggplant gets soft, it is so pleasant. I mean, it might, for those who don't like mushy food, but if it still has a little form, like, what dish I love? You go to a lot of Chinese restaurants, it's just like that sticky eggplant with a slightly spicy garlic sauce, and it's just gummy. That viscosity is just great, and it's got flavor, and it's just so, like, I love the texture of that kind of eggplant. And it looked like it's kind of what he, similar to what he was able to accomplish. And, the cream lentils and radish shallot, like, that's just a good, I'm very partial to eggplant. And so, like, that's a really good thing. Speaking of which, going back to Isabella, man, you're like, you got to, like, why not do a mezza? Why not do a little, your own take on baba ganoush, your own take on lebne, some of those, like, what's the one with the red peppers? What's it called? What's it called in the Armenian place? But anyway, I'm surprised that would have been such in the style of what he does in, what he did in Washington. I was sure that's what he was going to do.
Yeah. It was one of those moments where I thought Isabella was talking a big game, and just everything that he actually did walking was just bad. And I've been hard on Isabella with his Greek interpretations of a Greek salad, etc. But, just from concept to execution did not work. And Eli, you're right. Looked like a very delicious dish. I'm actually going to go with Jen's preparation of the eggplant. I love a torched eggplant, like a burnt eggplant, some char on there. That's the kind of eggplant. I don't like a medium rare eggplant. I like a torched eggplant. What say you?
I certainly want it to have that slight mushiness and preserve. Again, like that eggplant with garlic sauce is my favorite. I love baba ganoush though, but I also love a char. I really do. But I'll be honest with you, those discs that people just throw on the grill at a barbecue, no appeal to me. Zero.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Zero. So judges table. One last thing, because Kevin won, and I do want to say this, and going back to that, I could have made that dish in 20 minutes. I'm of two minds about Michael Voltaggio, and this is general. It's not just about his barb on Kevin. Number one, my first reaction is, well, why didn't you? Why didn't you?
Yep.
You can make it in 20 minutes. Why didn't you? Okay. Number two, I also feel him. and this is not a knock on Kevin. You know, when Jay Leno got the Tonight Show, and, you know, after his first couple of years, I think in a large segment of the comedy community, some of whom even kind of like Jay from Boston, you know, their whole point was, like, what are you doing with it? Right? Like, the idea is if you inherit the definitive late night variety show, late night talk show, that you're supposed to play with the form, right? Like, you're supposed to play with the form. Why do you even get into this business if you're just going to do a milquetoast version, a milquetoast interpretation of this form? And that was sort of their beef with Leno. I think everyone thought he was a pretty good guy. You know, it wasn't that he's terrible. It was just that, like, you're not doing anything with it. Like, you were given this gift. It is your responsibility as a comic to take forth the night show on NBC and bring it into the, you know, and you're supposed to evolve it, like that ape thing with the 5 apes, you know, like, and I think what Voltaggio is saying is, what are you doing with it? And that is generally when he gets kind of sassy, that's generally what he's saying, and I appreciate. Like, why would you get into the cooking business if you're not going to just completely go crazy? If you're not going to say, this is like, and I do appreciate it, but part of me was also, though, again, I could have made this in 20 minutes, then you should have. You would have won.
Yep. And, you know, you got to give the people what they want, and they want a really tasty dish. And I think Michael Voltaggio's was probably very impressive technically, but in terms of just making you feel like you had a very satisfying meal, I think Kevin wins. And you know what? He probably admits that. Like, if you're looking at the two dishes, he's probably saying that one's the Michelin 3-star dish, and mine's probably just a really good dish. I'm getting Kevin wrong here, but you know, I appreciated the you know, Brian Voltaggio we didn't even talk about.
Well, he finished. It's always funny with the 7 contestants left. You automatically know who finished 4th. You know who finished 1st, 4th, 7th. You generally know 2 and 3. Like, I think it's understood that Michael was 2nd, Eli was 3rd. It was kind of understood Jen was 5th and Robin was 6th. So it is interesting. You get the standings, which, you know, I think you and I would be much, like, we'd be much more satisfied if they kind of published the box score.
Yeah, we could do a point system that way. But I think you're right. And Voltaggio was in the middle. It was Goldilocks. It was fine. Not too, you know, appealing, but also not too boring or anything like that. So he was, you know, kind of, this was not his best episode. But yeah, Kevin wins. Voltaggio's pissed off, says he could have done it in 20 minutes. Then we get to the bottom. Robin, Jen, and Mike Isabella. Robin kind of kept digging herself into a hole, and if anyone does herself any favors at the judges table, Robin does not. She just keeps talking and yapping, and you know, I thought Jen almost would get into a trap here by saying, you know, I feel like I prove I belong. Just give me another day. I thought Tom Colicchio was going to jump all over that.
Yeah, it's beneath her.
Just be like, oh, you just think you belong?
Right. And
clearly
he's unimpressed with ambivalence about one's talent.
Yeah. And I adored Jen just saying, you know what? I get nervous in front of the judges. Yeah, I was super nervous. I'm nervous right now. My hands are shaking. And, you know, I felt so bad for serving those dishes. And I don't think it's really about the celebrity getting like spooked by getting starstruck by Natalie Portman. I think this is probably just nerves. Is you work so hard. I think she cares so much about her food that she gets nervous up there. I totally get it. And I was kind of shocked that Isabella was the one who went home. I thought Robin was going to get sent home. Yeah. And knowing the beef between the two, I don't think I remembered, you know, watching this season initially. I don't think I remember that Isabella went home before Robin, but here we are.
Have we ever had a season before or since with such a weak chef in the final 6?
Good question. So I'm going to stand up for Robin here. Isabella says in his outro, basically on his way out, his exit interview, he's saying, you know, I guess I could be in the bottom 8 times like her, but you know what? I didn't. Just goes off, right? Robin has been in the bottom 3 times. Isabella had been in the bottom 3 twice.
Does that include quickfires? No.
Does not include. It doesn't include getting voted out. Essentially, he was in the bottom and survived twice. She was in the bottom and survived 3 times. This isn't like, lapping the field here. Like Robin, probably not the most qualified chef up there, right? But it ain't like she was actually in the top like a couple episodes ago. And she's also won a quickfire. So I get it. She's probably the weakest link. But in terms of running up the score, she's so far behind everyone else. The stats don't point to the same conclusion. So Isabella, I think the interpersonal or his beef with Robin actually spoke louder in that moment than what the stats showed. Like she actually hasn't been as much of an underdog as you would think just going by the standings.
Yeah, he hadn't been setting it on fire since the beginning. Yeah, I'd forgotten that this was not the season where he really showed himself. I mean, you're right. He hadn't performed enough to really earn that critique. But it's still interesting. I mean, I just don't recall anybody who didn't at least have either creativity or technicality or sort of warmth to their food. Every once in a while you get, who's the guy who did like the gumbos from Southwestern Louisiana a couple of years ago? God, I have no memory whatsoever. But, I think you either have to have like technicality, creativity, or sheer comfort. Like your food is just so tasty and I don't think she has any of the 3. And that's sort of strange because it's late in the day. It is late in the day. And she's also been expert at finishing second to last. Again, the classic, you don't have to run out the bear. You just have to outrun the other guy. She is outrunning the other guy.
Oh yeah. Now I want to ask you about this. Did you know that leeks don't have any protein?
I mean, it's such filler. It doesn't surprise me.
Is it like celery? Is it just like
it's kind of it's a slightly upgraded version of. I mean, at least celery has some practical application. It's a nice crunchy, thing that you can dip stuff, using to dip stuff. But leeks have no practical application other than their filler. Other than if you want to bring a little water, like when I braise in the fall or winter, I will use leeks sometimes. Because they just kind of provide that, it is almost going to be included in your mirepoix. I mean, even though that's technically not. I mean, celery's that, but like I'll use it then just for shits and giggles for changing stuff up. But they are absolutely useless. They really are.
So it got me thinking, Kevin. What vegetable has the highest content of protein?
Ooh.
And so I looked this up, and the top protein veggies, number 1, lima beans.
Oh, that makes sense.
Lima beans have the highest proportion of protein. I guess 11.6% is protein. Number 2,
if you want me to eat lima beans, I'll eat lima beans. From which movie in the 90s? You want me to eat lima beans? I'll eat lima beans.
My memory is shot just like yours.
Cuba Gooding Jr. and Jerry Maguire. When he finally kind of realized he's got to listen to Tom Cruise. You tell me to eat lima beans, I'll eat lima beans.
Got to eat my veggies. Yeah. Lima beans, soybean sprouts.
Is that really a vegetable?
I guess.
Never heard.
Green peas.
That makes sense. Favas?
Spinach.
What about favas?
Interesting. Yeah, probably.
Are they on the list?
They are not on the list, but they might be like a cousin of one of these categories.
I'm surprised about spinach, Tom. That's a surprise. Kind of leafy.
Spinach, sweet corn, asparagus, artichokes, Brussels sprouts, mushrooms, broccoli. Thought mushrooms would be higher on that list, but those are the top ones. And at the bottom, you have, probably leeks. But I did not know that about lima beans, but that is your Haberstadt big number for this week's episode of Pack Your Knives. You learn that lima beans has lots of protein in it. Back to the show. I wanted to one last thing before we get into Isabella. Natalie Portman had the line of the show. when she's reviewing or talking about Mike Voltaggio's dish, she goes, "Who is his dealer, and does he want more clients?" That was awesome. That was great.
Drug humor.
I thought Natalie was, it was a little weed humor.
Yeah.
That was good.
I'm surprised they haven't had Harold and Kumar on.
Yeah,
that would be a fun
that
challenge.
Been good. Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've had stoner food adjacent challenges, but they've never really embraced it. I wonder with the legality changing across the country if that will change.
Okay, so Kevin, let's talk about Mike Isabella. The Where Are They Now? Mike Isabella edition. And we've gotten a couple people on Twitter throughout the season being like, hey, what did you guys think about Mike Isabella, and are you going to address it? Well, here it is. The story is that Mike Isabella, after he left the show in 2018, there was a Washington Post big story about a former manager had alleged sexual harassment, extreme sexual harassment from Mike Isabella, and a culture at work at his empire, a $30 million empire of restaurants. I believe he opened 11 restaurants in like just a couple of years, sprawling in and around DC area. A lot of those restaurants were apparently, in the reporting from Washington Post, were understaffed. There were a lot of business issues with Isabella's empire. And then on top of that, he was swept up in the Me Too movement that I think, Mario Batali, other chefs of public fame had been, engulfed in this. And Mike Isabella was one of them. Now, in 2018, the story comes out, and then he has to close down several of his restaurants, and he's on his way back. But I think the thing I want to ask you about, Kevin, is, after reading Anthony Bourdain's book about, his rise through kitchens in New York City, I believe it was the 90s. Was it the late 80s and early 90s or whatever it is? There was just a lot of misogyny, of homophobia, of just the vocabulary in the kitchen was such that you wouldn't be caught hearing within a mile of church, right? So, this is one of those industries that I feel like eventually this was going to catch up to them.
Yeah, I mean, and you and I work in the sports space, and one of the things I think we've realized is that there's certain industries and workplaces that regard themselves as exceptional. Right. And this is what I mean. So the teams we cover in practice, that's a workplace, right? That's a workplace, no different. Well, I'm going to say no different. That's a workplace the way if you're an accountant, like your cubicle, the way if you're a lawyer, your office, whatever it is, right? And there are things that you would never say in a law firm, a sales firm, whatever workplace you can imagine, a call center, that liberties are taken in these exceptional industries, or industries that regard themselves as exceptional, right? Like players on a basketball court at 1:30 in the afternoon during practice will call each other. I mean, just on things that completely are outside the boundaries of professional life. And I think what you learn about the restaurant business is up until very recently, I mean, like in the last year or two, people in the restaurant business thought of themselves as part of one of those exceptional industries whereby we know this would not be permissible at in a traditional workplace, but we are not a traditional workplace. Just like you hear about, professional sports, this is not a traditional workplace. And by not traditional workplace, that's true in some respects. It is a very unique workplace, but that exceptionalism is internalized to the point where people feel like they can do things they shouldn't do, right? Like they can behave in ways, because it's the kitchen. And in the kitchen, people yell and say, right? Like, but also just beyond the circle of trust, like you yell, motherfucker, you just get in somebody's face because there's 25 tickets and right? Like, so there's this environment that compels people to believe I do not have to play by the rules in terms of decorum, in terms of what's appropriate, in terms of respect for whether it's women, whether it's sexual minority, whatever it is. And I think that's caught up. And Isabella, to me, clearly by certain conduct, certainly got caught up in that. He was somebody who regarded the workplace in a restaurant as exceptional, in that I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't behave this way in a professional firm, but I will because it's the kitchen, because it's like our business, Tom, like what a player can get away with calling another player on the practice court. And that this is their practice court. And I think and again, you talked about Kitchen Confidential. You talked about, all kinds of reports. And people, look, we know people who work in the restaurant business. It is, exceptional. However, what we're doing is we're narrowing the definition of exceptionalism. And no longer can you, misogyny is no longer an exception because you work in an exceptional environment.
Right.
And that's clear. And it's happening in these exceptional businesses.
Right. And you look at Bourdain's book, that was like the 90s, right? That's 2 decades ago. And this is 2018, and some of the allegations that the former manager of one of his restaurants were the accusations, like it's a different time. Right. And it seemed like this has been going on for at least, well, look, put it this way. The comments that he made during this episode or this season of Top Chef definitely was raising eyebrows when I was watching it, being like, wow, that was something I did not think would fly in 2020 if Top Chef was airing again. And maybe we're just coming off a Top Chef All-Star season where you just didn't get a lot of that kind of color. It was very congenial. Like everyone was just playing by the rules, and it was good because they all had great respect for each other. Now in this season, Mike Isabella definitely had some comments that were that may have not seemed over the line in 2009 when it aired, but nowadays it definitely comes off very differently. And so Mike Isabella had 11 restaurants in the DC area and has just about cratered all of that through the business side, which I think we've talked about on the show too, whether it's this season or last season. Is just what if you're a chef and you find some success? Do you just keep expanding and spread yourself so thin? And maybe part of the stress of opening up all these restaurants, you just kind of you lose it a little bit. And I think he lost control of his business in what seemed to be a culture in his restaurants, and he's paying for it. And so when we look back on this season and Mike Isabella, he comes back in later seasons on Top Chef. But it does, I mean, he was quite a character on the show and a heel in some ways, an antagonist. But I did notice that Jen Carroll, when Mike Isabella was voted off, I mean, she gave him a big old hug, and to the point where Gail was, taken aback a little bit about how sad they were to see Mike Isabella leave. And you could see Gail like clutching her chest, like, wow, they really, really cared about Mike Isabella. And so, I think when you look at Kevin Gillespie or Robin or whoever it is that had their moments with Mike Isabella throughout the show, he was a character. And in a where are they now sense, I don't really know where Mike Isabella is now. He's on Twitter. He's on Instagram. I believe he's opening or consulting with a restaurant in Sarasota, Florida. Obviously not in the DC area where he made his bones in the industry. But yeah, so Mike Isabella goes home. Robin is still on the show. And obviously that ticks off Mike Isabella on his way out. But Kevin, I just don't think she's long for this world. Top Chef. The bear is at some point gonna eat her up, to use the parlance of Kevin Ornaments, right?
For Tom Haberstroh, this is Kevin Ornaments, and this is Pack Your Knives.